The desert stretched endlessly in every direction, a sea of sand and stone beneath a merciless sun. Marcus had been walking for 3 days, his water supply dwindling, his lips cracked and dry. He was no stranger to hardship. Years of wandering had taught him to survive in the harshest conditions. But this particular stretch of wasteland tested even his considerable endurance. He didn't know why he kept walking. Perhaps it was stubbornness, or perhaps it was the same restless spirit that had driven him from town to town, never settling, never finding peace. Some people were meant to wander, and Marcus had long accepted that he was one of them. The sun was beginning its descent toward the horizon when he heard it. A sound so faint he almost dismissed it as the wind playing tricks on his exhausted mind. But then it came again, clearer this time. A voice. Crying. Marcus stopped, his hand instinctively moving to the knife at his belt. In places like this, sounds could mean danger as easily as they could mean someone in need. He scanned the landscape, his eyes searching for movement among the dunes and scattered rocks. There, near a cluster of weathered stones, he saw movement. A figure, bent and swaying. And then another sound, higher pitched. Children, his fatigue forgotten. Marcus moved toward the sound, his boots sinking into the sand with each step. As he drew closer, the scene before him came into focus, and what he saw made him stop dead in his tracks. A woman knelt in the sand, her arms wrapped around 2 small children. She was painfully thin, her clothes little more than tattered rags hanging from her frame. Her hair, dark as a raven's wing, fell in tangled waves around her face. But it was her face that caught Marcus's attention. Even through the dirt and exhaustion, she possessed a beauty that seemed almost otherworldly, delicate features and eyes that held depths he couldn't begin to fathom. The children were no better off. A boy and a girl, both appearing to be around 8 or 9 years old, clung to their mother with desperate weakness. Their faces were gaunt, their limbs like twigs, and their eyes held a hollow emptiness that Marcus had seen only in the dying. The woman's head lifted as he approached, and those remarkable eyes locked onto his. They were an unusual shade, somewhere between silver and pale blue, and they seemed to pierce right through him. "Please," she whispered, her voice raw and desperate. "Please, traveler. My children. They're dying. I have nothing left to give them, nothing to feed them. Please, if you have any mercy, any compassion, help us." Marcus's throat tightened. He had encountered many desperate people in his travels, but something about this woman, about her children, struck him differently. He knelt beside them, carefully pulling his pack from his shoulders. "How long have you been out here?" he asked, his voice gentler than he'd intended. "Days," the woman replied, her eyes never leaving his face. "We've been walking for days. Maybe longer. Time has become meaningless." Marcus pulled out his remaining provisions. Some dried fruit, a bit of preserved meat, a half-loaf of bread that had seen better days. It wasn't much, but it was all he had. He offered it to the children first. The boy reached out with trembling hands, taking the bread with a desperation that made Marcus's heart ache. The girl was slower, weaker, and her mother had to help guide her hands to the food. As the children began to eat, Marcus noticed something strange. A faint shimmer seemed to pass over their skin, so quick he almost missed it. "What are your names?" Marcus asked, trying to understand the odd sensation he was feeling. "I'm Celeste," the woman said softly. "These are my children, Finn and Luna." "Marcus," he replied. "Where were you headed? What happened to you?" Celeste's expression shifted, a flicker of something Marcus couldn't quite identify passing across her features. "Fear, perhaps. Or maybe guilt. We came from very far away," she said carefully. "From a place you wouldn't believe existed." "Try me," Marcus said. "I've been to a lot of places, seen a lot of things." Celeste looked at her children, who were devouring the food with an intensity that seemed almost unnatural. Their color was already improving, the deathly pallor fading from their cheeks. It was too fast, Marcus thought. People didn't recover that quickly from starvation. "We're not from this world," Celeste said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "Not exactly. We're from somewhere else. Somewhere that exists alongside your world, but separate from it. A place that's dying." Marcus should have laughed. He should have dismissed her words as the ravings of someone driven mad by the desert sun. But he didn't. Something in her eyes, in the way her children seemed to shimmer with that strange light, made him believe her. Or at least made him want to. "Why are you here?" he asked. "Because we have nowhere else to go," Celeste replied, tears beginning to stream down her face. "Our world is collapsing. The energy that sustains it is fading. My children, they need to feed on life force, on the energy of living things. Without it, they'll die. I'll die. We've been searching for someone who could help us, someone with enough life force to sustain them." She reached out, her hand grasping Marcus's arm with surprising strength. "Please," she said, her voice breaking. "Help us feed my children. Give them what they need to survive. If you do this, if you save them, I swear to you, I will be yours forever. Everything I am, everything I have, it will belong to you." Marcus stared at her, his mind reeling. Life force, energy, another world. It was insane. But as he looked at the children, at the way they seemed to glow with renewed vitality after eating his meager provisions, he couldn't deny that something extraordinary was happening. "I don't understand," he said. "What does that mean? To be yours forever?" Celeste's eyes held his, and in them he saw desperation. Yes, but also something else. Something that made his pulse quicken. "It means exactly what I said. My life, my loyalty, my heart. All of it would belong to you. In my world, such a promise is binding, sacred. I would be bound to you until the end of my days." The wind picked up, sending sand swirling around them. The sun touched the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Marcus looked at this strange, beautiful woman and her impossible children, and felt something shift inside him. He had spent years wandering aimlessly, searching for meaning in a world that seemed to have none. Perhaps this was it. Perhaps this was what he'd been looking for all along. "I'll help you," he said, surprised by the certainty in his own voice. "I don't fully understand what's happening, but I'll help you." Celeste's eyes widened, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. "Thank you," she breathed. "Thank you. You have no idea what you've done. You've saved us." But as Marcus looked into her extraordinary eyes, he wondered if perhaps she had saved him too. The night descended upon the desert with surprising swiftness, bringing with it a cold that seemed to seep into Marcus's bones. He had fashioned a makeshift shelter, using his travel cloak and some of the larger stones scattered across the sand. Celeste and her children huddled close to him, sharing what little warmth their bodies could provide. Marcus found himself acutely aware of Celeste's presence beside him. Even in her weakened state, there was something magnetic about her, something that drew his attention again and again. Her children, Finn and Luna, had fallen asleep quickly, their small bodies pressed against their mother's side. The strange shimmer Marcus had noticed earlier was still visible, a faint luminescence that seemed to pulse gently with each breath they took. "They're beautiful," Marcus said softly, nodding toward the sleeping children. Celeste smiled, a genuine warmth breaking through her exhausted features. "They're everything to me. My entire world, quite literally." "Tell me about your world," Marcus said. "If we're going to travel together, I should understand what I'm dealing with." Celeste was quiet for a long moment, her fingers absently stroking Luna's hair. Imagine a place that exists in the spaces between moments, she began. A realm where time moves differently, where energy and matter are more fluid than in your world. We call it Ethermoor. It was beautiful once, filled with light and life. Our people lived in harmony with the natural energy that flowed through everything. What happened? Marcus asked. We don't know exactly. Some kind of rupture, a tear in the fabric of our reality. The energy began to drain away, flowing out into the void. Our scholars tried to stop it, tried to repair the damage, but nothing worked. Slowly, our world began to die. Plants withered, waters dried up, and our people grew weaker. The children, those born in the last few years, they're the most vulnerable. They need to feed on life energy more frequently than adults. Marcus absorbed this information, still struggling to fully believe what he was hearing. Yet the evidence was right before his eyes. And you chose to come here? We had no choice. A few of us found passages, thin places where our world touches yours. We came through, hoping to survive, hoping to find a way to feed our children until we could find a solution. Celeste's voice grew heavy with sadness. Most of us didn't make it. The transition is harsh, and your world is so different from ours. I've been alone with Finn and Luna for weeks now, watching them grow weaker, unable to find anyone who could help us. Until now, Marcus said quietly. Celeste turned to look at him, and even in the darkness, her eyes seemed to glow faintly. Until now, she agreed. I meant what I said, Marcus. The promise I made. In my culture, such oaths are sacred, binding on a level you can't imagine. By accepting my pledge, you've created a connection between us. Marcus felt a strange warmth spread through his chest, something that had nothing to do with the cold desert night. I'm not entirely sure what I've gotten myself into, he admitted, but I've spent years wandering alone, searching for something I couldn't name. Maybe this is it. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, listening to the wind whisper across the sand. Finally, Celeste spoke again. Where were you headed when you found us? Nowhere in particular, Marcus replied. I'd heard rumors of a settlement called Haven's Rest, somewhere west of here. Supposedly a safe place for travelers and outcasts. Thought I might check it out. Then that's where we'll go, Celeste said firmly. Together. The word hung in the air between them, weighted with meaning. Together. Marcus found he liked the sound of it. They set out at dawn, moving slowly to accommodate Celeste and the children's weakened state. Marcus shared his water sparingly, rationing what little they had. The children seemed stronger than the day before, but they still tired easily. Finn, the boy, proved to be curious and talkative once he felt safe. He asked Marcus endless questions about the desert, about the world, about everything he saw. Luna was quieter, more observant. She watched Marcus with those same penetrating eyes her mother possessed, and occasionally he would catch her whispering to Finn in a language he didn't recognize. The words seemed to shimmer in the air, almost visible. They're speaking Etheric, Celeste explained when she noticed Marcus's confusion. Our native tongue. It's a language of energy as much as words. You're actually hearing it translate in your mind, which shouldn't be possible for someone from your world. What does that mean? Marcus asked. Celeste's expression was thoughtful. I'm not entirely sure, but it suggests you have some kind of affinity for our kind of energy. That would explain why the children responded so strongly to the food you gave them. It wasn't just the physical nourishment, it was your life force infused within it. Marcus pondered this as they walked. His life force. The concept was strange, yet somehow it made sense. He had always felt different from others, always felt like he didn't quite belong anywhere. Perhaps there was a reason for that. By midday, the landscape began to change. The barren desert gave way to rocky outcroppings and scattered vegetation. In the distance, Marcus spotted what looked like structures built into the side of a cliff face. His heart lifted. Civilization, or at least something close to it. As they drew nearer, Marcus realized the settlement was larger than he'd initially thought. Buildings carved directly into the red stone, connected by wooden walkways and rope bridges. People moved about, going about their daily business. It wasn't Haven's Rest, but it was something. "Stay close," Marcus warned. "Let me do the talking." They entered the village cautiously. Eyes turned to watch them, suspicious and wary. Marcus understood. Strangers in a place like this were viewed with automatic distrust. He approached an older man sitting outside what appeared to be a general store. "Excuse me," Marcus said. "We're travelers, looking for shelter and supplies. Can you help us?" The man's eyes moved from Marcus to Celeste and the children, his weathered face unreadable. "We don't get many families passing through here," he said slowly. "Especially not ones that look like they've been walking through the underworld itself. What's your story?" Marcus chose his words carefully. "My wife and children got separated from our caravan. I found them in the desert. We need rest and supplies before we can continue our journey." The lie came easily, surprisingly so. But Marcus noticed Celeste stiffen slightly at the word wife, though she said nothing. The old man studied them for a long moment, then nodded. "Name's Thorn. I'm the elder here. We've got a spare dwelling you can use, but it'll cost you. And we don't tolerate trouble." "We won't be any trouble," Marcus assured him. "I can work to pay for what we need." Thorn gestured toward a building further into the village. "Follow me." The dwelling was simple but clean, a single large room carved into the cliff face with basic furnishings. As soon as the door closed behind them, Celeste let out a breath she seemed to have been holding. "Thank you," she said to Marcus. "For the lie. For protecting us." "It seemed easier than trying to explain the truth," Marcus replied. He found himself smiling. "Besides, calling you my wife didn't feel entirely wrong." Celeste's cheeks colored slightly, a faint blush that made her even more beautiful. "The bond we've created, the promise I made, it's not so different from marriage in your world. In some ways, it's even more binding." Before Marcus could respond, Luna tugged on her mother's sleeve. "Mama, I'm hungry again." Celeste's expression fell. "I know, sweetheart, but we need to be careful. We can't draw attention to ourselves." Marcus knelt down to Luna's level. "What if I bring you regular food, like yesterday? Would that help?" Luna nodded, her silver eyes wide. "Yes. When you give us food, it has your energy in it. It feeds both our bodies and our essence." "Then that's what we'll do," Marcus said firmly. He stood and looked at Celeste. "I'll find work, earn money, buy food. We'll figure this out together." Over the following days, Marcus proved true to his word. He found work helping to repair the village's irrigation system, his natural strength and determination impressing the locals. Thorn, initially suspicious, began to warm to him. The elder's granddaughter, Mira, a healer who tended to the village's sick and injured, took a particular interest in Celeste and the children. "Your wife is unusual," Myra commented one afternoon as Marcus collected his day's wages. "There's something about her, about your children. I can't quite put my finger on it, but they're different." Marcus tensed. "Different how?" Myra's eyes were kind, but knowing. "I've been a healer for 30 years, Marcus. I can sense energy, life force. Your family radiates it in a way I've never encountered before. It's not bad, just different. Extraordinary, actually." "They've been through a lot," Marcus said carefully. "I'm sure they have." Mira handed him a small pouch. "Here, herbs that will help build their strength. And Marcus, whatever secret you're protecting, it's safe with me. I can see the way you look at her, the way she looks at you. That kind of connection is rare and precious. Guard it well. That evening, as Marcus returned to their dwelling with food and Myra's herbs, he found Celeste standing on the small balcony, looking out over the desert. The setting sun painted her in shades of gold and amber, and Marcus's breath caught in his throat. "Penny for your thoughts," he said softly, joining her. Celeste smiled. "That's an expression from your world. I'm still learning them all." She was quiet for a moment. "I was thinking about how strange fate is. A week ago, I was certain we would die in that desert. Now we're here, safe, with food and shelter, because of you." "You would have done the same for me," Marcus said. "Would I?" Celeste turned to face him fully. "I want to believe I would, but I was so desperate, so focused on saving my children, I'm not sure I would have seen another person's need. But you stopped. You helped strangers without hesitation. You gave us everything you had." Marcus reached out, gently taking her hand. The contact sent a jolt through him, like touching pure electricity, but pleasant, thrilling. "I told you before, maybe you saved me just as much as I saved you. I've been wandering for so long, searching for meaning. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Celeste's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "The bond between us," she whispered, "it grows stronger every day. I can feel you, Marcus. Feel your emotions, your thoughts sometimes. It's part of the promise I made. As time passes, we'll become more connected." "Does that frighten you?" Marcus asked. "No," Celeste said, and there was certainty in her voice. "It should, perhaps. But it doesn't. You're a good man, Marcus. Better than I ever hoped to find." Marcus stepped closer, his free hand reaching up to cup her face. "Celeste, I know we've only known each other for days, but I feel something for you, something I've never felt before." "I feel it too," she breathed. They stood there, inches apart, the world seeming to fade away around them. Marcus could see the faint glow of her energy, could feel the warmth radiating from her. Slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, he leaned in and kissed her. The moment their lips met, Marcus felt like he'd been struck by lightning. Energy flowed between them, brilliant and pure, and he could swear he saw colors that didn't exist in the normal spectrum. Celeste gasped against his mouth, her hands clutching his shirt, pulling him closer. When they finally parted, both were breathless. Celeste's eyes were wide, glowing brighter than he'd ever seen. "What was that?" Marcus whispered. "A true binding," Celeste replied, her voice filled with wonder. "When two souls connect on every level, physical, emotional, and energetic. Marcus, I didn't just promise to be yours. I think I'm falling in love with you." Marcus pulled her close, holding her against his chest. "Then I'm the luckiest man in any world," he murmured into her hair. Inside, through the open door, they could hear Finn and Luna playing, their laughter bright and clear. The children were growing stronger every day, their strange luminescence becoming more pronounced. Marcus knew their situation was far from resolved. Questions remained about Celeste's world, about what the future held, about how long they could maintain this fragile peace. But as he stood there, holding this extraordinary woman in his arms, watching the sun set over the desert that had brought them together, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. And perhaps, just perhaps, he had finally found home.